Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Art Platform India. Thank you all so much for joining us today. It's lovely to be here with you. Some of you may already know what TAP and TAP India is all about. And for those of you who are joining us and who don't know, it's a group of galleries that have got together from around the country to support, collaborate, and generate more visibility. We explore newer markets, open private doors to conversations through talks like the one we're about to begin. We wanted to create a one-stop platform for very candid conversations for people from the industry talking about their experiences, about the trends, about questions that you may have, and things that you want to know about the art world. So TAP Talks has had several very exciting talks. There have been several exhibitions, and you can log on to our website to look at what we have going on. So let me begin today by introducing our speaker for tonight. We are so lucky to have Kubra with us this evening. Kubra Khademi is an Afghan artist born in 1989. She is a performer and a feminist based now in Paris. Through her practice, Kubra Khademi explores her life as a refugee and a woman. She studied fine arts at the University of Kabul before joining the University of Bacon House in Lahore, Pakistan. She's going to tell you more about this part of her life because it's very important. And the last two speakers that we had were also connected with Bacon House. The Bacon House art program is funded by the South Asia Foundation and run by Salima Hashmi, and both France Martinet and Salima Hashmi were on the talks last month. In Lahore, at the Bacon House University, she began to create public performances, a practice which she continued upon her return to Kabul, where her work was a response to the male-dominated extreme patriarchal policy. After performing a piece known as the Armor in until 2020, when she obtained the French nationality. It is in Paris that she lives and works nowadays. In 2016, she received a scholarship to the Pantheon-Sorbonne University, and Audrey, Azoulay, Ministry of Culture, raised her to the rank of Chevalier des Arts and des Lettres. This is a great cultural honor in France. Since 2016, Latitude Productions has been in charge of the development of her artistic projects in particular the performative projects. And since 2020, Eric Mouchet Gallery Paris represents her visual work. In 2019, she was named to the Émigré Revelation Prize, and in 2020, since 2020, she is a long-term resident at the Feminco Foundation. Recently, she's also won the award. It's a French award, which is a residency called the ICPA residency in New York. This is an award from the Solomon Foundation, and she's going to be spending the next 6 months from January onwards in New York, which she says she's really looking forward to. So the way we're going to go about it this evening is what I'm just going to ask Kubra a few questions because she has so much to say. And in my conversation that I had with her last month, when I met her in Paris, she told me so many gripping things that I thought that we must share this. And so that's how this talk came about, where the entire political situation has its effect on art and on artists. And she is one of the prime examples of how she dealt with it and how it's very important for artists who are performative artists who have to talk about what they want. So I thought we'll have Kubra talk to all of you, and we're very, very lucky to have her. So Kubra, first of all, a big thank you to you, and a big thank you to both France and Salima for introducing you to us. So tell us what your art is about. Tell us everything about yourself. I'll break it whenever possible. So welcome and thank you, and start. It's your evening.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you for inviting me, first of all, and then Thanks now for like giving this introduction. Well, tell everything is quite difficult. First of all, for me, like starting is like from where and how. Let's say I need a let's talk about my work first.
Yes, yes. What is your work all about, and what is it that's got you where you are?
Well, yeah, my work, like I'm working since I would say making art since 2012 or 13, where I was still a student at Beacon House National University. This is like art, well, like where there were somewhere that I was before that I was looking for, basically contemporary art. I did fine arts in Kabul University in 2008 to 2009, right before entering to Beacon House. But where I had a problem with the form of like art that we study there, and I was looking for somewhere where I can express myself more, and how I didn't know at all. I really didn't know, but I knew that it's something else, something beyond is, it is called contemporary art. So this is how I was looking a lot for scholarships, but I was lucky, like I was like desperately looking at scholarship to go somewhere else. I was obtained this, like I got this proposition of like, there is scholarship to this institute in Pakistan. And so I looked up and I immediately said that this is me who has to take it. This is me who has to take it. So I went there, and I do remember I said that I really want this. And so well, then a few months later, I was in 2009, I was in BNU in Lahore. So there I am like looking back like 2009 till like 2020, 21 now. I would say that was a place where I was born for the second time, where I really had this chance of like, whatever I was doing, they were asking me do something else, what is beyond. And this is where I discovered that I am using my body in my work, without knowing like how, but then beside, I understood that there are some personal life is like coming along within my expression. So there where I made this work, which is like the image is like the first one of like my very first performance, let's say. So this is me myself inside of it, in fact, for 3 hours. And this where it didn't begin this way. I was like among the spectator and among the public, I mean, and then I walk to it, and then I put myself in and I zip it from inside. And that really was, I didn't decide for how long and how. So this was like something that to really explore and create kind of situation. This work is particularly comes from like this object itself is a suitcase, like real suitcase that I took it for the first time when I left my mother's house. So there was an object which was very provoking for me, like making me think a lot. And then it comes to into my work. And there's the other one, like doing performances. And there's the other one, if you can go to the second slide, that I found myself, I'm interested in different spaces where I can explore again my own body, and like how with spaces I can create such a situation that and in those days I didn't know what I was doing in terms of like something called I am doing performances. But when I made them, when I explored and made them, then I showed them to my professors. Then I learned about performance art. And And yeah, I mean, what is interesting in performance was that that was allowing me to feel my body in a situation where I myself is also like exploring things like with others, experiencing through time and space. So that was something like very much I discovered it, that I am looking for it. So this work is also something that comes from living in, well, again, that part of my identity, like coming back to my country and then being immigrant and, well, constantly thinking that we are going to move and we have to move in the countries back in war. And because I myself was born in 1989, where there was like kind of almost end of Soviet war in Afghanistan and in Afghanistan, and but after that we entered to civil war. And then so this kind of like leaving where what we are dealing with politically, that was something at those time unknown for me, but it was like appearing in my work. So if you go back to the third slide.
So Kubra,
yeah.
Basically what you're saying is all this that was happening around you began to show up in your work. So it was basically your work was about the situation that you were surrounded with. Will you say that? And then?
I would say I am, in a way, those days back, I was thinking I am reliving or revisiting something that I call it, I don't know what on that time, but I think it's becoming more, making more work. Since then till now, I'm making a lot of performances. I think I am dealing strongly with identity and the issues around it. So of course,
and
it's
a lot of sensitive content.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So this work is, I keep working more. So after my graduation, when I was in Kabul, I made quite like other works. This work, particularly I took it because still it's happening in public space. It is happening, but the difference is it is in my capital of my own country where I was living. Those time when I was studying at BNU, like I was between Lahore and Kabul, but this time I was like living in Afghanistan, and I was practicing my art. I was working there, and so it's this work is also like this time in this work I did focus on a very ordinary issue that we live with it. It's like in public space, something that really struck me, and but it didn't come in one time that I thought about making work responding to sexual harassment in public spaces. I did think about it over and over, I think, for many years, and I like it happened in 2015 in this work in February. So those days I made like I come up with the like clear image of like this work finally. So I designed a costume which is like as we see in the image is like an armor, but it's a feminine armor. And this piece is called also Armor, the performance. I wore it on my daily costume, like without like choosing what I have to wear. And I made a walk. So the performance was a walk through certain place in Kabul, which was, I chose it like very quite challenging for women, which was making more sense for me and for this performance and having like the maximum public in this place. So this work was also something like previous work that I show, coming from again like coming from issues around that are my identity, but this time particularly woman, like being a female person, but but I made it like to a walk, which is like, for me, walking is something, an action that those days I was practicing a lot. Not particularly for art, but for daily as a research, but it turned to my performances. After that, I walked a lot. When I come to France as well, that I will show after the other images. So this work was successfully done. I made it, and it was finished the way I exactly like planned for it. It has to start from here and it's finishing here. Like the walk is ending here because this place is like I have good like understanding of this place as well, as I did my research of making this work. And then I surprisingly and shockingly, the consequences after this work, I was not waiting for that. And that was criticized like very brutally and in a very wrong way in the country. The image was circulated like the same night everywhere in the country almost. And that was something that I was literally not ready for and not waiting for. Going back to detail this work after that is another, like it takes like so much of time. It didn't allow me to continue living in my country. But it was very unbelievable. I mean, the work, which is like, well, it was just one line, very simple. This wrong critique that I'm talking was like, this is an anti-Islam. It's like challenging the place of women, and it is like that I am really, really angry about it. It's like it's a project of United States. I think this is like the most ignorant way of being an Afghan civilian. If we think it is such work, is the program or the programmation of like United States or Western world. I'm still so much affected by these all attacks and that I had on that time back. Still, I'm like living, like trying to heal, which is not easy. So this work, and then thanks to, well, of course, people who hide me on those times, right after this work, and because I was seriously was facing death threats, and then Salima Hashmi in France, the same university who raised me, the same institute, they saved my life. I do remember those days. I do remember where I was saying that, well, but this will end. I think I was very naive and very young about the situation and understanding of the depth of patriarchy from my country. I was thinking I know it very well, but I think I didn't know it that much. It's like next month I was in Paris. Can we go to the next slide? Exactly, thank you. So this work is just right after I come to Europe, I come to France, I come to Paris. I don't know how to explain this. Like when you make art, what moves you to make art, especially performance? How you decide? I guess this work is like. Why I say that? This work is a work I made. Again, comes from like this time being not this time being like immigrant with my family, but this time alone by myself. This is like with bare feet. I make a walk from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in Paris, like very situationist walk, like just go and let your body just moves. And while I put like the whole things I could bring from my country. So in a way, the whole life on my head, and I was walking. And this piece is called From Sunrise to Sunset in Paris. So yeah, I mean, like personal part of my work is like comes from like life experience. And yeah, maybe we can like continue. I think I gave a little bit of like my practice, just a view, but that chronologically also says like something about my life as an artist. So
tell us, how did your work change, or did it not change when you got to France?
Well, I myself at those days, I didn't know it will change, or if I even asking myself that, do I want to change my work? What I want to do? No, I didn't. I was not even a moment I was thinking about such things. I think I was just so happy, happy, or so naturally I was responding to my own need of expressing myself through my work. But I do find something like very, well, in a way strange, or like feeling the difference. The difference was that I'm somewhere, I have respect, first of all. And then I have like opportunities, of course. It was like every day, it was something to explore. Like on those days, I met my producer, that right now she's like taking care of my performative work, and she's my agent as well. I met her like late 2015, like the same year I arrived there. And like working with her like till now, it's just such a opportunity to learn like how being an artist is like happening here. Yeah, I mean, how I'm being like, and then like working in the cadre of festivals, which is more like in France, which is more about dance and theaters, but how live art is like included inside, and how it's happening also in the cadre of like galleries and visual arts. So it's kind of, I am navigating between two worlds, like performance, like live art or performing arts, and also visual arts. Well, I recently, like it's been 2 years, I have focused a lot. Pandemic was something that was so much affecting on my practice. Since there was no festival anymore, like, anymore, it means that there was no programmation of seeing live art, but visual arts was also so much limited, but it was like having a studio and then working. Well, in my case, someone who is like not depending on that if I don't have a studio, I don't work. No, I was just working like in any situation. I was very like adopting and like still making art. But this time, like it was like having a studio and not having access to outside. Like I was like making drawings. Drawing was something like personal again, that back my childhood, I did a lot of drawings. I was doing a lot of drawings. And so, yeah, so I'm practicing back those, and that's old practice today. And I felt like I'm taking advantage of being free here in terms of like, not only the opportunities, but how I can do it. And it's like, I don't have this conscious, I don't decide, I am free, I do this, but it's happening naturally. I am just responding to it. So I made a lot of drawings. I did my solo show with my gallery that right now I'm talking from in Paris. There, like I had my solo show, and that was something I said that, wow, how I missed drawing for those years that I haven't done. So I had this feeling of like such a liberty I have in this medium. So I am doing like large scale drawings, like exactly this wall. I had my 6 meters of fresque, which was like a drawing called Frontline. In this front line, of course, I make figurative work. I have to draw myself in my my drawings as well. It's again myself. In performance, it's my own body. In my drawings also, it's my own. It's myself in it, in all of them. So yeah, it's just such a medium that I can just go very, very far.
That's lovely. So a lot of institutions got interested in your work because I think performance art is, is the purview of institutions that can then show you and give you this great platform to actually perform for the public. So tell us a little bit more about these institutions and how this platform works for you as a performative artist.
I'm still discovering, in fact, like, well, in France, there is like, since you do performance art, which is like non-material work of art, so how you can live with it, you should be paid. So here is like getting this statue of like intermittent spectacle. So artists get paid per hour of making performance. So it goes to theater, dance, and the sort of performance that I do. So it is I'm learning. It's very, in French way, it's very complicated. But well, I'm learning those. And so this is how my agent is like taking care of all this, not only programmation, but also like production of my work, but also administratively, and then how things like are like super like bureaucracy in France is very complicated, first of all. So I am not so good at that, but I'm lucky. I have someone who is like very precisely is taking care of that part as well. And also like the form of performance I make is like, it's not only, it is as much as happening everywhere. It's like possible I perform everywhere, like according to the context. Also, so it gives me this liberty of like being fit in all of them. It means like I was programmed in a theater festivals, like quite very classic ones and things, but there's always, I think it's about the time as well, since we are living in such a, like we know what is contemporary art, so it's also arriving everywhere and things are possible. So my performances can be programmed everywhere. Exhibitions, shows, like some public programmation, like, I don't know, some in a lot of like categories can happen. So I'm very happy about the openness in my work, that I'm not in any box, in fact.
You will be, I'm sure. You will be, because you're doing such fabulous work. Because I think, and also since you say that it is your own experience that's coming here, and that's coming out in your work, I think people relate to it because you also have this fantastic story of this whole experience of what happened to you. It's not just made up, it's real life. So when you have a real situation and you can connect with a real situation, it's a lot more touching, isn't it? So yeah, you will succeed much more than you already are. So tell me one more thing. So what about tell me one more thing. What about your connections with Afghanistan? How connected are you? How much? Tell me a little bit more about that. How do you handle the association and your family and your friends and the rest of the artists, and because it is so much your roots, right? So
yeah, true. It is definitely.
The pain comes out in the work, but I'm sure there's lots of friendships and pleasure and things like that as well in your connection with your home country. And tell us a little bit more about that. And then tell us also about what you've done recently with all the other art groups from, tell us about the connection and then that.
Yeah, I mean, connection to the country, to our like motherland, let's say. Well, how would I say, like the way I came first of all to live here, I was like still well, it was not believable for me, to be honest, of course, but I was always deep inside somewhere. I think without knowing, I was hoping I go back one day. When, I don't know, but how, I don't know, literally I don't know, but I miss like, but since I've been so much traumatized of that year, those time, I had this fear, of course, still I have. I can't hide it. I mean, it's not possible to say and they said, no, it's not this simple to just say, no, it is not, I am. I had that back, and despite that, I have been like so much blocked, or maybe like perceived like very bad my work, right? Even after arriving to France by some very close friends back there. So those things just added some more layers to not being able to believe what's happening. I mean, why this much I should be hated. This work has to be hated. Like, it was something like so much mixed, but also at the same time, like feeling how safe I am here. So this way, like knowing this, like these mixture feelings, like created such a strong relation right now that I think I'm building that relation since then. So looking it back, really, like all the time back, that, well, my country, my root, how I'm uprooted. I think these are something that I am trying to understand how it is, but I am living through that. I am like passing these all like very hard like questions. Well, I mean, but just summing up why I say this is because during July, like this year, and that I was like very much concerned about Afghanistan, when it was like seeing that how Taliban are like growing in their territory, and then how they're moving in the country. It was like every day, like this province was falling in the hand of Taliban. And I was following news. I'm not saying I was following news this time. News is something that I check it every single day since 2015 about Afghanistan. So I start like being very worried about, well, I am a woman. I was just thinking about Afghan women there, and children, of course. So I got very much worried about, like, no, 1996 will come back. Like, well, what would happen to this generation right now? That, like, because I know my generation in Afghanistan, we are not so easy giving up. So I was thinking, like, we will lose a lot of bloods, a lot of lives, and to stand against this, since I am very much disappointed, I was very much disappointed of our own government there. And so I was looking for a tribune. So I wrote an open letter that let's not that happen what we are thinking. It was like around July. Let's not that happen, but I focused particularly on women and women's sex slavery in Afghanistan, that we had it before. So by Taliban. It didn't succeed. It was just time was less running, and then looking for media there didn't work. And meanwhile, I saw that, no, it's very serious. It's something urgent should happen. So I start like asking my, first of all, my producer that I know well, by now she knows very well, like 6 years working with me, she's quite very much in aware of Afghanistan, situation of women and children there. And of course, political situation there and geopolitically in the world. So I told her and that we have to do something. And then she tried to make me calm, and they said, yeah, we'll do it. So we were just like reacting. I think we were just in urgent way. We wanted to, what we want that should happen. Yeah, so after being concerned about women, I was so much worried about women artists. So being a woman and then being an artist, having a voice, being different in this society is something aids to being extra in danger. I think that is something, I know it very well. I know it, like how when we live in danger, what does it mean? So so yeah, I mean, we start talking about it, and then we started. Then we made a network of like a lot of institutions, because people are working together also in the art scene. More theaters and festivals, since my producer are like, she has partners in other festivals, in other like live art institutions all over France. So a lot of them, they told us that they are with us. So she came back to me and told me that who we want to, so whom we should take them out. So she found this very hard for her to make a selection of some people to save. But for me, I was in such a urgent way of like thinking that I said that for me it is easy. I'll just pick women. I'm going to think about women artists. Who is most, I mean, the most in danger. And then so some of them, I made a list, and then around nearly 80 or something. And then most of them are women. Like among them, especially, there is like a Afghan theater group, Afghan girls theater group, which was like is composed by 9 girls in this theater. And then so these are like this. I'm just giving this an example because I was so far I was in contact with them. I was giving them Zoom workshop like 2019 and 2020 back. So this is very easy for me. This is just so obvious that these girls who are like the only Afghan theater group girls, I mean, they can't leave like under Taliban, that they claim the regime and the government. So so this way I introduced people, and we start like asking from the French government that this list. So we were in the process of like getting confirmation from French state that we were succeeding, and they were like, we were working day and night on those days already, because it was like among like this much information that we have to ask. And then we were putting pressure that the things has to work quickly. But I have to say again, those days I was not expecting, we were not expecting that Kabul will fall down within 2 hours in mid-August. So we were in the process of getting them out. And then suddenly, in front of our eyes, the computer was here for the news, my mobile is here, the WhatsApp with connecting with this Afghan artist, and then my iPad there is for some other emails. So I saw that like Kabul fell down in 2 hours. And yeah, in the middle of this shock, we just accelerate the process, and then we ask that things has to be in danger. It must be much in an urgent way, and then we entered to the most difficult part of like because that was a real war there. They were running like were saying that like, okay, she died. She can't move anymore or something. So it was. That was not easy. That was literally not easy. And but after all, I mean, we were also lucky that things worked out as each operation was like failing down, since Kabul airport was very much under control of Taliban and the United States. So yeah, all these involved, they were like around 80. They are here now in my list. There are then with us those days we found out that some other lists are being also like getting is getting out. So because at the end we were just collaborating, all of us. So yeah.
Goodness, so that is something. I mean, what you've contributed, your generosity is something amazing, Kubra. Just amazing. And obviously this fear continues. This fear is going to continue a long time. And it's not only for you. When we all who are not even from Afghanistan see it, we are also fearful. We are fearful for women. We are fearful for humanity. And you're fearful for everybody. And wars have always been very difficult.
Yeah.
But I think what happens at the end of a war always, I mean, I don't know when it ends and when you actually realize it's over, but it does have an effect on art and on artists like you, because obviously your work is all related to what is happening. But tell me, so what will happen to this? I'm just trying to see what will actually happen to all the artists who are here. I mean, there's a big group. I mean, 100 people is a lot of people to be outside the country. I mean, and so will there be like a diaspora Afghan movement, or I mean, how do you see it panning out, and how do you see how are we going to encounter more of this fabulous art from Afghanistan? What do you think is going to happen?
What is for sure is like these like the art by this number of artists or by each one of them was happening there, but now like these all are going to leave here and they're going to build their career here. So it is in a way that is being guaranteed that they, first of all, they're alive, the work they're going to do will continue, but in a much broader context, which much more possibilities. So I say it because I have worked here for 6 years, and I know how. I know how it will. I mean, how it will work. So I am quite very much positive about making. I mean, the continuation of their work, plus how it will like happen. How it will happen, of course, it's not imaginable. Every artist is like very specific, and then we don't know what we do and things like that. So what is obvious is like this cultural heritage that had to be in Afghanistan will be saved and will happen here. Yeah, also like this, like at least like this number of artists that I'm talking, they're all now living in a 1 year of residency in France. Like this, in all of them are like now passing their residencies, and they are not only about this, not only to accompany them with their like asylum and life and things, but also their artistic project. So this attention right now is like giving psychologically kind of like assurance, like assurance, yeah,
like the confidence.
Exactly, the confidence, like to give them, but also like, yes, you are safe, but you will work. So do whatever you want. So it's kind of like also as my experience, like being in contact with them here as well, I'm seeing that how this evacuation and this extreme political like change, like this move have like marked them in their work. So yeah, I mean, big works will like will be preserved here in France, which is sad that it couldn't happen in our own country. But I don't want to see it in this point. I would like to see it from other point, that, well, from its positive point of view, that yeah, they will live and they will continue working and they will be voice for a lot of others. So why not to be stronger and be freer and then having more power? I'm confident on saying that France has been, it's not about being because this country saved me, because no, it's not about that. It's again about like literal experience and a real experience. So I would say that here is the country of opportunities, and here is you can raise your voice, and it will like exist, instead of being like like what happens, I mean, back there. So yeah, but beside this also, like again, coming back to that question of like relationship, I think I would like to add that for me the horror starts right now. I was so much like involved, I was so much like trying, that I even didn't, I was not realizing how it's possible that 3 weeks you don't sleep. With Maria, with my producer, she was also like so much, she was more than me. She did all. She was the head of this, like directing this very hard operation. And then here was also our like third person was Joris Mathieu. He's like director of he's based in Lyon, and he's such a great job they did. I am so much admiring them. It's like it became a kind of war for them, but inside culture and art, they were not like putting it down in one moment, like after each time, like failure of the operation and things. And operation, I mean, they're not here. And how much things were like, we were standing up again, and we were just going through, I mean, together. And so for me, I'm saying that thinking about how, well, it's again, like it's another topic if you want to talk about that, how Taliban took power and why that has to happen and why it happened and how all this, like putting all aside. But what is not fair is about like what's happening to Afghan children there, to Afghan women there. Like that's something for me, I do not.
In our lifetimes, Kubra, I think we've seen so much peace. And when you see we only in history we read about the Second World War and blah, blah, all these things that where the wars affected artists and people. And here, this is a very, you're giving us such an in-depth view of the reality of what it is today, that all of us are just voyeurs and you've experienced this whole thing. I mean, this is such an important part of history, and it has such great depth. And the way you've gone into it, and I mean, this is really part of history, and it's part of history of not only of the art but also of the real world. And it's so close to art and artists, and you've brought us so much closer to it by sharing these experiences and telling us this thing, because this is really a first-hand thing where the impact is there right now for all of us to see. And we're going to obviously see it in these 1,800 artists. And like you say, I'm sure we're going to see different branches of this big situation.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think art has such a power.
Very rarely do you see this so firsthand. That very rarely do we get an opportunity to, art is a little bit removed from this kind of reality, but you have thrown us right into the depths of what it is, what war is, and what it does to artists, and what you've done. I mean, it's amazing that you've been able to pull all these people out of Afghanistan and save them and bring them to France. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, yeah, it is because, again, I insist and say that I would like to see their career, which is going to be built here from this point of view, instead of being sad, is that...
it's fantastic. Because of your last 6 years, you're so positive about it for them, which is great as well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's good to be grateful of what you have. Yeah, I mean, it's also part of it that I'm learning to, practicing as an artist, that how things are possible here. I mean, you knock somewhere and then they open the door and you talk about like Afghanistan, a country which the whole world knows where exactly is positioned, this country with its whole misery and war and this all extreme history is like situated. So everybody knows. And then they would say that, no, I had positive answer. And this was happening. And that is something that I think it's also, in a way, it is about how art is a tool and how art has power to be changed in the history. So that is something that when there is like political power or hegemony in what's happening at the time in the context,
yes,
and what comes from very free, I mean not aggressive, who comes to I think fight is exactly what art does. So yeah, I learned it through working, since I am like a woman, and I consider myself a feminist artist. I learned that how important is to being a woman artist, and you dig into the history and stand against patriarchy, no matter where it is, but it's very effective to bring another culture where, for example, at least from my own culture that I'm born, where there is everything is about women don't exist. That is something that I know very well. I knew it, I know it. So it is how is it important to raise that part of to work on my woman identity, to more and more to, yeah, I was eventually this question is very interesting that you asked me about other artists. When I come first, a lot of people ask me eventually, in different ways, that do you think that you changing the context, you will be in the crisis on not knowing what to do since you're not in our country. But I don't know how I was somehow replying to this question, but I think this question comes from people who are just worried about things. I think being an artist is not about that. We are not worrying about things, what to do. I think everything is there inside, and it just comes out. I think artists have been given, it should not be a chain not to do this. When it comes out, it has to breathe and exist.
You're a very special lady, Kubra. You are. And you are, because you're not only are you generous, you're open, and you are confident in spite of the odds. So you're very special. So maybe the other people are not so confident like you when they ask you these questions. But I think we're running out of time. It's 8:29 in India, and I don't know how to thank you for this. And I don't know, luckily, this is going to be on YouTube for people to watch, because those who haven't joined us will understand how this juncture between art and war is being lived by you, really. And the way you're bound to have a very, very important influence on the lives of many, many people, Kubra. Because you are at a very important part of history.
Thank you so much.
So I think so you are privileged. You are very, very privileged. You're very privileged that you're able to see so much positiveness in this situation. And you have done such wonders.
Well, I'm
so
lucky.
I think we have to have many more conversations, because this has really been riveting, but it's also been very moving. I'm completely moved, and I'm sure so are others. But even when I met you last month, I came back and I was like, I'm so lucky that I've even met a person like this. So thank you. I think we at TAP India are so lucky that we've had someone like you to talk to us, and because they're artists who are going to take a page out of your book for sure. And art, I think people are going to understand how important the power of art is. So I don't know if anybody else has any questions, but I think we'll send you the questions we have and whatever we get. So thank you. And Kubra's just told me that she's going away to New York for 6 months. So we are going to miss you when we all come to Paris, but I'm sure we'll meet again very soon.
Yeah,
and
hopefully.
I don't know if you want to say anything else as a closing remark. Good night to everybody, and a big, huge thank you to you.
Thank you to you. Thank you for.
No, you're very special. Thank you. Thanks so much, and see you soon, Kubra.
Yes.
Okay.
See you. I don't know where.
Good night, and enjoy the season in France, and enjoy the whole experience in New York as well.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.